my name is Jerred. I am 16 years old and a junior at Mason High School. I am also a student at Seminole State College. My hobbies include hunting, fishing, playing basketball, and hanging out with friends. I have already passed 2 classes in college, both Composition 1 and College Algebra. I have a brother named Gupton and a sister named Amy. My brother is 18 years old and is attending college at OSU. My sister is 25 years old and has 2 kids, Whitney and Riley. Whitney is 7 years old and Riley is 4. My nieces are very athletic, just like their uncle. They are members of both a swim team and a tumbling squad. Over the course of my life, I have developed an unusual technique in moving. My family has moved 11 times. I was born in Ada and moved into my first home in Hannah. I then moved to a 2-story house on the Ofuskie and Mulgee County line when I was 2. I lived 3 years of my life in that house. Still living in the same house, I switched from Mason schools to Beggs Public Schools. I then moved to a house in Neocca. By this time, I was 5 years old and considered of age to assist my family in moving small furniture. 1 year later, I moved to a small house in Beggs, which was on the road called Stand D behind a football field. 2 years later, I moved to a bigger rock house in Beggs, which was next to the Beggs Water Tower. Half a year later, my family decided to move to a house in Texas. This move was one of the more difficult ones in my life. It was a long distance from the rest of my family, and not to mention how rude people are in Texas. I was excited to learn that I was moving back home. By now, I was about 10 years old and moved back to a small house in Neocca. My next move was to another small house in Beggs. By now, moving to me was a breeze. I could now pack everything in my room in 3 to 4 hours. My next move was not a very difficult one. I no longer saw the house that I was living in to be very special. I moved to a house in Mulgee. I still attended Beggs schools, but it was tough waking up early in the morning to drive 25 miles to school. My next moves were back to the same small house in Neocca, and finally to the house I live in now, which is on the Ofuskie County line, in the country with a nice pond full of largemouth bass, crappie, a few catfish, and a whole lot of perch. I now feel settled in, living in the house that I have lived in for 4 years, knowing that my next move will be on my own. My future plans are to graduate high school and obtain my doctorate at OU to become a plastic surgeon, if I manage to make a 32 on my ACT. I then plan to open my own business that will include all the facilities made to benefit the human body. I plan on creating this business and then living the life of ease.